Hello everybody, E here. Welcome to another end of the decade special. Today we are talking about my top 5 discoveries of this decade. I went into this with one hard rule. I didn't want to give anyone a spot on this list that was too big. I guess my reasoning for that is I want maybe you to discover some people that you hadn't heard of before. And I want to throw a little bit more effort toward the underdog here. For that reason and that reason alone, you're not going to be seeing Haruki Murakami, you're not going to be seeing Caroline Kepnes, or several other authors that I personally discovered. These are just authors that I don't hear enough about. One of them is going to be very contentious. One of these is going to be maybe controversial in the way that it breaks the rules that I'm setting up here at the beginning. But I'll discuss that when I get there. At number 5. So at number 5, we have a friend of mine, but I read his work and enjoyed his work well before we became friends. And that is Gregor Zayn, author of The Hanover Block, The Brides of Hanover Block, Taboo-gasm, 6 Dead Spots. He's a fantastic author and certainly one of my favorite discoveries of the decade. I came across him because one of his novellas, 6 Dead Spots, was popping up within my circle. It was getting some praise. So I went and I checked it out, and I was kind of on the fence about it. There were some issues with it, and that's what sparked the friendship. And this is the only time this has ever happened to me where I have been critical of someone, especially an author, and that author has contacted me going, hey, you get that this is more than just a hobby, this is a craft, and rada. And me and Gregor have become the best of friends. Still to this day, I consider him one of my best male friends, especially since I've never actually met the guy. I don't even know what he looks like. I'm right up there with the rest of you, except for 2 people online. I think they know. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but they know what he looks like. Anyways, he's definitely... his friendship is very important to me, but on top of that, completely unbiased, I believe, because I liked his work before I actually became friends with him. His writing's fantastic. And the best part about Gregor is he keeps getting better. He does not stagnate like some other authors that I have followed from their inception into the genre. I don't even think that's the right wording, but since they came into the genre, or since they came into writing, they've just kind of stayed the same, and Gregor has gotten better with each and every book, which is super impressive. At number 4. At number 4 is a winner of my favorite short story collection of the decade. Easily one of my favorite short story collections of all time. Unfortunately, it's the only thing that she's released in English, I believe. If I'm wrong, please, for the love of all that is holy, or unholy, I don't know how you swing, down there in the doobly-doo, let me know if you know of anything else that's in English by this author. That's Amina Akhtar. Those we lost in the fire. Not just this, just the author, period. I did find one short story that was not in this collection that was translated into English. I don't know if it was legit or not, as far as I don't know if a publisher did it or somebody just did it on their own. If they did it on their own, don't do that. But anyways, this is a fantastic collection and one of my favorite short stories of all time. Like I said, this is my favorite short story collection almost of all time, other than Barker's Books of Blood. Under the Blackwater is an amazing story that does the Lovecraft type of quiet horror. I think it does it properly. I think it does it right. As you know, as any fan of the channel knows, I'm not a fan of Lovecraft. But this story has those... When people talk about Lovecraft, this is the story that I think of. I know that's odd to say it that way, but that's the truth. And Amina Akhtar, I will buy anything that she publishes in English. And I've enjoyed so much Spanish literature that I'm honestly thinking about learning Spanish, becoming fluent in it, just so I can read some of the terrific authors that are coming out from that area. Well, not that area. I mean, they're all over the place. Spain, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil. I think that's Portuguese, though. I don't know. I'm going to offend somebody, so let's just move on to number 3. Okay, at number 3, we have Nathan Ripley, author of Your Life Is Mine and If I Find You in the Dark. No, just find you in the dark. The other one is that true crime thing, Michelle something, I can't remember her name, Patton Oswalt's wife. But Nathan Ripley came out of nowhere for me. I was sent an ARC from Atria Publishing to review Find You in the Dark, and I was on the fence about it because I had pretty much given up on thrillers at that point in time. In fact, right now, the only thrillers I will read are thrillers by Atria Press, or Emily Bessler, or Simon Schuster. Those are the only ones that I'm reading right now because I feel, personally, that they are the only ones doing the thriller genre right. They're giving you characters to believe in, and it's not a very wordy type of literary thriller, not like Donna Tartt, which is it can be good too. The Goldfinch, fantastic book, but they are doing literary thrillers to where it's sparser than, say, your James Pattersons of the world. No, it's more than your James Pattersons of the world and less than your Donna Tartts. It's right there in the middle, right there in that spot that I enjoy so much. Y'all keep your minds out of the gutter. But Nathan Ripley is one of those authors, and we have become friends also. Maybe not to the extent that me and Gregor are friends, but we talk in DMs on Twitter, we talk on emails, we talk about the craft. We talk, I think, more about Stephen King than anything else. And that's a lot of fun. So Nathan, if you watch this, man, I appreciate those conversations. Let's have more of those. But with Nathan, he's such a good dude, and I want to see him succeed. Now, as far as the bias here, there's no bias as far as the quality of the work, because it's really, really exceptional. This dude is being compared to Patricia Highsmith and her character Thomas Ripley. Is it Ripley? Yeah, the talented Mr. Ripley. I see what you did there, Nathan. If you don't know, Nathan Ripley is the pen name for author Nabin Ruthnam. I hope I got that right. And his book, Curry, is fantastic. It's a cultural, it's not really a biography, but it's cultural nonfiction talking about the history of curry, the legacy of curry, all that stuff. If you haven't checked it out, you really need to, and unfortunately, I don't think enough people have. It's one of those little books, it's almost chapbook size, one of those little books that really have a place in my heart. So his literary side and his thriller side are both fantastic, and I highly suggest you check them out. At number 2. Okay, so at number 2 we have Amina Akhtar. Again, I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry, Amina, if I get it wrong. But she is the author of #FashionVictim, which is, the way I describe it, is a more accessible version of, I keep wanting to say American Beauty, and that's not right, American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. I've come to know her just a little bit on Twitter. We talk back and forth. She sent me a little a Christmas card along with a card that I actually requested, one of her business cards. But so there, you can say, I just want to put all this stuff out there. If I know these people, if I talk to these people, then I want to let you know that I do know and talk to these people. But in every instance, I have met them after I have read their work and enjoyed it. With Amina, this book, like I said, it's a more accessible version of American Psycho. There's a lot to it that you're not seeing a whole hell of a lot of in thrillers nowadays, and that goes with that goes for every author that is publishing through Emily Bessler. This one is through Crooked Lane Press, so it's a different publisher altogether. So this would be the only thriller that I've enjoyed that wasn't published by Emily Bessler, but what I'm seeing a lot of is just thrillers with very cardboard characters. We're seeing Michael Bay books, is what we're seeing. And it's very, very, very cheesy storylines, very easy, predictable premises, big concepts, very, very poor delivery. Whereas with this one, this sucker is all concept and all delivery. The ending of this will stick in my mind forever. I've talked to several people who have heard or seen of it before. I had not. It completely blindsided me. I didn't expect the final denouement, if that's how you pronounce that word, denouement, I don't know. But this book left me. It left me in awe. It came out of nowhere. It will be on another list this week. That's how much it affected me. In fact, I think it is the only author that is on, another list as far as this week is concerned. Probably because of the rules that I set up. But Amina's also a terrific person. She kind of went viral because of her dog Bean. If you want to check her out, go check her out on Twitter. I think it's Amina, D-R-R, I can't remember how many R's, and then Amina, A-M-I-N-A. She's fantastic. If I can remember to leave her socials down in the doobly-doo, definitely check her out. Her dog has an Instagram account that kind of went viral there for a while. It's very, very cute. Bean's terrific, but the number one thing I want you to do, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent with her, because I like her so much, I like her work so much. Go out and buy this book. Not enough people are talking about this book, especially not in my circles. It is about a serial killer in the fashion industry, and the cover says, "Bitches get stitches." If you need any other convincing, I can't help you out. But yeah, check out #FashionVictim, my number 2 best discovery of this decade. At number 1. Okay, I'll be completely honest with you, I'm about to break the rules that I set up at the beginning of this video, only because I don't really have another person for this spot, and I've introduced this author to so many people, Stephen Gomsey, there's some other, Angela Hardway, a bunch of my friends. I introduced them to so many people, and so many people have come to me and said, "Thank you so much for introducing me to this author," that I'm shocked. I mean, he's got a long running series, and with a series that runs this long, he must have been doing something right this entire time. So why aren't more people talking about him? I don't know if it's the quality of the later books decrease. I don't know. I don't suspect so, because I'm on book 6 right now, and they have kept the quality, if not gotten better, with each and every book. Other than book 2, I didn't like it as much as the first book, but by book 3 it just keeps on getting better and better. And that's John Connolly. I'm holding up his newest one, The Book of Bones. This is, I think, book 17 in the series. There's actually 18 books thus far, because there's a 4.5. There's a novella in Nocturnes, I believe, is the collection. But John Connolly, I would say he's the biggest author of the bunch here. Easily. And the reason he's on this list, he came out of nowhere for me. I tried reading Every Dead Thing, which is the first book in his series. I tried reading that ages ago. Something stopped me. Something about, maybe it was because it felt too thrillery at the time, and I was really getting away from thrillers. I don't know if there was, I mentioned something in my review that doesn't really make any sense to me, something about Asian laughter that didn't make any sense to me when I came back and reread it. I don't know if I was in a certain place at that time where I was angry at everything. That very well could have been. But once I gave the book another shot after Atria sent me this one for review, I fell in love with it. I retried it. They sent me this one, and they told me, "Hey, read the Woman in the Woods and read this one, and you should be fine." So they sent me Woman in the Woods. Also, I got to thinking about it, so I asked everybody on Twitter and on Instagram and Goodreads and here on YouTube, should I start at book 1? I didn't want to, because I like to live up to my review schedule, and this book came out in November, I believe. So I wanted to be able to review that book, but I also didn't want to miss anything in the series. And I'm so glad that I listened to the small subsection of the internet that said, start at book 1. My friend Donald and one other person were the only 2 people that said, hey, you need to read the entire thing. And everybody else said, yeah, I guess you could start here or there. You know, I think the earliest that was mentioned was A Killing Kind. Definitely start there. And while that skips the lackluster second book, it's still a good book. It's 4 stars. Still a good book, but it's not as great as the rest of them. Only 2 people said start at book 1. So thank you so much to those 2 people, because I ended up loving Every Dead Thing. And like I said, A Dark Hollow, still a good book, just not better than the first book. But as far as book 3 onward so far, man, book 5 was my favorite. Book 6 is leaning toward more like on par with it. I really love the way it opened. But John Connolly is my number 1 discovery of this decade. I would absolutely love to hear from you guys. down there in the doobly-doo of what you got, what authors you have found, or maybe just what books you have found by certain authors. As far as some honorable mentions here, David Foster Wallace almost made the mark, Thomas Pynchon almost made the mark, but I really do need to read more from these authors, because I've only read through one book each from them, and it's the same way with Amina Akhtar, but I feel like she deserved more of a look than those other two authors, simply because those other two authors have huge followings. Massive, massive followings. So, if you want to debate my reasoning, definitely do that down there in the doobly-doo. Have all the discussions down there. Let me know what's your best books of the decade, your worst books of the decade, all that stuff down there in the doobly-doo. But until next time, I have been E, you have been you. This has been another End of the Decade special. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye!